Hi everybody, I'm Pauline Thornhill. Tonight we look at moose in a whole new light through the eyes of a craftsperson, not a hunter. Now you take a rack like this. In the right hands, this is much more than a hunting trophy. It could be a work of art. You won't find a moose rack nailed to the outside of Clyde Drew's store. But inside, you're literally tripping over them. Rack on top of rack on top of rack. Moose antlers, the material behind Clyde's craft, moose antler carving.
It's got a good finish, and the detail holds really, really well. They can do a lot of detail work and it won't break. That's the bit, as is wood now. Wood is the type of thing that would, if you do a lot of detail in it, some of the pieces will crack. And this stuff here will last a lifetime, you know.
Clyde's come a long way over the years. He started off carving faces in the wax of Gouda cheese. When he got serious, he turned to wood, then soapstone, then whalebone. But he carved his niche in moose antler and found his inspiration in Indian legend. Clyde is a Micmac Indian. He was born in Conn River to parents of mixed blood.
And what I'm doing here is I'm drawing out the mother and child, drawing the outline and putting in the feathers type of thing, and so I get a better idea of how to carve the piece itself.
Native women and children seems to be a common theme in your work. Where does that come from?
Usually, this is probably stories we heard way back, where Native women used to give birth to their own kids. That's the books that I read from the library, the Micmac legend. That's what they used to do one time.
So they would give birth unassisted?
Yeah, that's way back now, way back about 100 years ago. Before a midwife came in afterwards, I think.
The spirit of the Earth Mother is the center of Micmac belief. Her spirit is in all things, the wind, the forest, the water. All life is thought to have come from her womb. This native spirit mother theme shapes most of Clyde's work. It separates him from other carvers. It makes his work distinct, the theme and the moose antler. It seems hard to believe, but moose grow a brand new set of antlers every single year. The hugest of racks on the biggest of bulls is grown in just one season. Moose shed their old antlers in the winter, in spots of trees usually, where the animals yard up to feed. The country around Clyde's home in St. Albans is good for moose, so this time of year, if you know where to look, you can sometimes find old discarded antlers. just debris underneath snow to most. To Clyde Drew, it's the promise of another carving. Well, Clyde, do you find many antlers like that?
Yeah, every now and then I find a few drop. This one looks like an old one from last year.
What do you look for in an antler?
Usually they got to be brown, solid brown, eh? That's usually the good antlers. Usually the bad ones are, some of them are like this, but I still can use this part here. When they're white and pink like that, sometimes they're not good.
Now, does that mean it's a really old... What Clyde doesn't pick up himself, he buys from people licensed to collect and sell antler. Now, is it expensive to buy moose antlers?
Yeah, some of them, a piece like this, probably I charge at $2 a point, which would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, probably $16. $32 for us if I have a sit like this.
Obviously, Clyde goes through a lot of antler. He literally buys them by the truckload at $600 or $700 a pop. But Clyde says he'll work his way through a truckload in a few months, especially if he's preparing for a show. His work has sold all across Canada and the States. It's gone to parts of Europe as well. Not bad for a guy who started carving in the wax coating of a cheese. And who, at first, used an old school bus for a studio.
Yeah, when I started off, I started off in a school bus. I lived there for six months doing. That's where I started my carving deal. I had a little pot-belly stove in there. From there, I went and bought a couple trailers, and this is the place I'm in right now.
You must have been pretty dedicated if you spent the first 6 months carving in a school bus.
Oh yes, pretty dedicated. I want to make something. I want to try to make a living at it anyway.
Clyde's school bus days are definitely over. He's producing hundreds of pieces from his studio in St. Albans, and they're selling for anywhere from $100 to $2,000. Some might think it an odd way to make a living. Clyde looks like some creative cross between a welder and a dentist. His studio certainly sounds like a dentist's office, and smells like one too. Carving antler smells just like drilling teeth, only worse.
Oh yes, when I had people in here come in and want to watch me work, and after the lift and went out to the door, they couldn't take it over 2 minutes because it really smells really bad.
But when you look at the finished piece, you soon forget about the smell. Such beauty buried in a moose antler, revealed through the tip of Clyde Drew's drill bit. Sometimes Clyde admits he even surprises himself.
I didn't think it was going to go that far, actually. It's only the last couple of years the business started picking up pretty good. So it's good. It's a good feeling.
Do you have the sense now that you finally made it?
No, there's always something to learn. It's always somebody up there better than what you are, and you're always going to learn something by somebody else.
After the break, we'll travel up the Northern Peninsula, where another young carver captures the spirit of the outdoors in Moose Antler.